Quite often we administer our Ubuntu computers remotely through the command line. Whether this is running shell commands or copying files to and from our remote computer, in this video I'll demonstrate SSH, Secure Shell, and SCP for Secure Copy. With these tools we have an encrypted tunnel to and from our Ubuntu computer. So here on the command line I'll type in SSH, then the username I'd like to use to log into the remote computer. In this case I have an account called SScott at an IP address that's local to my network. So I'm connecting to an Ubuntu web server that I have running on this IP address. I'll hit enter. I'll put my password in for that remote computer. And then it will connect and log in. So now I have a shell on that remote computer. You'll notice here on the local shell I have the username at the name of this local machine, ss-vb. Then after I log in with SSH, it shows my current session as SScott at webdev1, the name of the remote computer. Now once I'm there, I can run the usual commands from the command line. Let's say I want to update. This is something that's done quite frequently. You SSH into a remote computer, then you run apt, let's say sudo apt get update or upgrade to update the remote computer. And then it will run on that remote computer. Now let's say I create a file in the remote computer. Let's say I do vi somefile.txt. Okay, this is a file I've already created and I've put some text in it. I quit out. So I know that file is there. I go exit, and now I'm back onto my local computer. If I do ls to see what's in the local computer, I'll remove the test file I created when planning this video, somefile.txt. So I've removed the local copy, and now I'll use SCP for Secure Copy to copy the remote file. So I'm copying from the remote computer with the IP address, so the same thing, almost the same information I use for SSH, but then I put a colon, and then I specify the home directory /somefile.txt, and then I just copy it to my current location. Put in the password. Now it's copying. Now if it was a large file, you'd see a progress indicator until this hit 100%. And now if I do ls again, you see I have somefile.txt, and I can go in and edit it on my local machine. And if I make a change, I can then do scp somefile.txt, my local file, and then put it back to the other computer. Much in the same way. So I'm going local file to remote computer, and previously I did remote computer to local file. So copy, you can use SCP to copy from the remote computer or to the remote computer. Now if I would like to allow incoming SSH connections to my local computer, it's not open by default. I have to make sure I have an SSH server installed. So I can do that by writing sudo apt-get install open SSH-server. And we'll use apt to install it. Now it tells me OpenSSH server is already the newest version, so it means I already have it installed. Now a quick way to test that it's working correctly, I can use SSH to log into a remote computer. Then once I'm there, I can do SSH again, and then I'll connect to the other computer. I guess I need to know its IP address. Let me open up another terminal window on the local computer, and I do IP address, and it tells me it's 192.168.1.127. So I just ran IP space ADDR, and that gives me the IP address. So I know it's this IP address here. And it tells me connection refused. Now, one thing I've done, when I set up my OpenSSH server, I changed the port number. So let's go back here and open up our SSH server config file. So I'll do vi ets ssh sshd config. And it tells me SSH is running on port 5051. The default port is port 21, I believe, or 22. So SSH servers run on port 22, and a common security practice, so you don't leave your default SSH port for people to probe it, we change it to a different port. In this case, I've set it to 5051. So I need to specify that when I'm connecting. So SSH -P for port 5051. And now it tells me I'm connecting for the first time. Hit yes. Enter the password of my other computer. And now I've SSH'd to a remote computer, and then I've opened up another SSH connection back to my local computer just to verify that it does work and that it does accept SSH connections. And if it doesn't, you'll see this connection refused message here, or you'll see it if you're running it on a different port, like I am here. And that'll conclude this introduction to SSH and SCP.